Joe Burrow sounds pretty confident for a quarterback who is sitting on an 0-2 record following a magical season for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they got close. They were a few yards away from even tying the Super Bowl. They could even won the Super Bowl, Mike Jones, but now they're 0-2. They're one of these 0-2 teams, and I want to ask you and Trotter, which 0-2 team, if any, you're concerned about. Let's start with Cincinnati, Mike. Do you think they'll be able to turn it around, or is this the beginning of a pretty disappointing season in Southwest Ohio?
I do think it's going to be hard for them to duplicate what they did last year. I think it's going to be, I would be surprised if they did make it back to the Super Bowl. I have them just missing the playoffs. It's hard, man. Like when teams lose the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl hangover is real. Very few teams make it back to the Super Bowl or even make it back to the playoffs. But what I'm seeing with Cincinnati is a line that, despite a lot of investment, still is not doing very well offensively, and a quarterback who hangs onto the ball way too long trying to make something out of nothing. And his health is really, really important, and he's not helping himself. The defense also isn't playing great. There's a lot they have to get worked out. And yes, it's a long season again. But when you look at some of those things that they are struggling with, I kind of wonder if they are going to be, they just might join one of the long list of teams that really can't get over that Super Bowl loss hangover.
Yeah, I would agree with King Jones on that. But Mike, he knows I call him King Jones because he's a man. But I would agree with him everything he said there. You know, they made a lot of investments in the line that hasn't necessarily panned out to this point, and defensively they're not playing as well as they did a year ago. Also, remember they won a lot of close games. They had a lot of balls bouncing their direction last year, which their season could have gone the other way very easily. So now they're playing in a division, obviously, where the Ravens, with Lamar healthy, are always a threat. Pittsburgh, who knows? Cleveland's trying to hang on until Deshaun comes back. That is the only positive I see for the Bengals this point, is that there's a lot of uncertainty in that division that maybe they can hang around and try and get it right and still be in the mix late in the year.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's just, you see this start, and, I think it's like 11% of teams that start 0-2 wind up making the playoffs, and it doesn't look
None
good yet,
last
right,
year,
John?
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
I don't think any 0-2 team made it last year.
right.
That's
I don't
right, they
think since
didn't. I think
2020, I don't think anybody has.
Yeah. And I think the last 0-3 to make it was what, the Texans in 2018. Shocking that the Texans, seems so long ago, the Texans were in the playoffs in 2018. But I want to ask you both about Tennessee, because it's like Ryan Tannehill, and he's one of those studies, one of those people that no matter what you do, people just remember who you were. And then no matter what, like last year, they were the number one seed. See, you can be a number one seed with Ryan Tannehill. They lose. He throws 3 picks. See, you can't get to the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he's always on this extreme thing. Yeah, great turnaround. What'd you expect? It's him. So here they are at 0-2. He looked awful on Monday night in Buffalo. Is Ryan Tannehill going to be able to help this team? Not that he's going to carry him. Is he going to be able to help this team get back to the playoffs?
Well, who's he going to throw to? That's my question. They got rid of his best weapon in the passing game. He's got some young guys. It's going to take a little while for them to come along. But their offensive line is not playing well. They really missed. They lost one of their starting guards, in their right tackle. So I think that Tannehill is probably pressing a little bit because he feels like he has to do something. But again, what's he going to work with? And if they can't get the run game going because teams are hitting Derrick Henry at the line or behind the line, and he's a guy who needs to pick up speed. He can't stop and change on a dime and avoid defenders. So I don't see how Ryan Tannehill can get this thing going because everything around him is headed the wrong direction.
For me, Ryan Tannehill is one of those guys that when football coaches talk about football being a complementary game in terms of offense, defense, and special teams, he's that guy. And what we see also in Tennessee right now is that defensively, they're not playing well. Harold Landry's a big loss for them when he suffered that season-ending injury before, week one. and not having him, not having this defense play up to the level that it has in the past, now you got to take more chances offensively because maybe you're playing from behind instead of playing with a lead where you can play ball control with Derrick Henry and the like. So for me, it's all of that together. I'm a big fan of Mike Vrabel in terms of the way they play and the physicality they play with, but that is a style of football where everything has to work in unison. And right now we're not seeing that. Buffalo put a hurting on Tennessee on that defense. And unless they can get that cleaned up as well, I'm not sure it's going to matter what they do on offense at the quarterback position.
Jim, you said Buffalo put a hurting on, and then just fill in the blank, because it looks like that's going to be the story for the rest of the season. Mike and Jim, I talked about this a bit yesterday, and I need your football minds to bring me back down. So, I need sobering football thoughts, because I'm looking at Buffalo now and I'm saying, I don't know if anybody can slow them down. What's the flaw? Can anybody stop them? There's got to be some flaw. There's got to be something they don't do well, right, Mike?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a long season, and warts eventually get exposed. You never know about injury. The second time around, teams see them. Different teams start off hot because you have the Rams, who they didn't play their starters in the preseason. And so they play in the season opener, and that's basically their first dress rehearsal. You have, a number of teams who take that approach. And so it takes, 5-6 weeks for these teams to really hit their stride. So we'll see. But I tell you what, everything you see from Buffalo is just like, daggone, man. Like, can anybody stop them? I had them getting to the Super Bowl and losing to the Rams. And after that, I'm like, man, maybe I picked the wrong team to win, because they can do everything.
Mike, let me flip the script on you for a minute. You say, can anyone stop them? I'm going to ask, can anyone score on them? Look, they've given up a total of 17 points in 2 games. So I'm sitting here saying, can we give a little love to Leslie Frazier, their defensive coordinator, who so many teams passed on as a head coach option, last year and in previous season? The one thing Leslie has shown now, if you give him the players, he can make it work. And they were a pass rusher away potentially from reaching the Super Bowl a year ago. You bring in a Von Miller, and look at what they're doing now. They haven't given up a point in the second half of a game thus far. And I realize it's only 2 games, but still, that's impressive. And to your point, your question, Michael, about how do you beat the Bills? I think, number one, you have to be able to capitalize on their mistakes. The Rams had that opportunity in week 1 where there were 3 turnovers in the first half that LA forced, and they really didn't do anything with it. So to me, if you're going to beat Buffalo, you're going to have to be on your game and capitalize on those opportunities they give you, because they have shown, at least at times, that they will give you the football. Now, what do you do with it?
Yeah, they put so much pressure on a defense with that. It was just showing that Allen to Stephon Diggs, that's tough to deal with. And that's kind of just a piece of it, because there's also Allen, ask people in Kansas City, there's also Allen to Gabe Davis. So that's a feature. And then if they start to get a running game from running backs, I say it that way because Josh Allen can be a running game too. I'm just trying to think offensively, maybe what you're hoping for is Allen. He threw, I think, 15 interceptions last year. So maybe you're saying, okay, if we can get him to, and his completion percentage went down last year too. I think the year before he was about 70%. Last year he was about 63. But those are nitpicks, right, Mike? I mean, I'm going deep. I'm going deep into like the small print to find something wrong, aren't I?
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. Just like Lord Trotter said about that defense, they with the leads that they get offensively, they can come back for years.
Hold on a second. Now this is gone too far.
We're gonna do this now. We're gonna do this.
King Jones. Now we got Lord.
Hey, he was trying to one up me, but he's, that's been his title for a while now. He's a nobleman, and he's like the gold standard. And so,
you know what?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let him have
I interrupted
that.
you.
No, I'm gonna let him have that because I don't want to put his personal stuff out in the street. I'll let him handle that. But he knows no, it's positive. Nothing like that. It's all positive.
Oh, wait.
Mike knows.
Oh.
Where's Michael Smith? We got to bring him back.
He's the man. He's the man.
Come on. Let's go.
Hey,
Let's
I'm
tell
trying to be
stories.
like him when I grow up.
If we can't, fellas, if we can't get Mike Jones's personal stories into the show, I guess I'll have to settle for. I have to look forward to Bills Dolphins for my entertainment this weekend. I'm saying it's my September Super Bowl. Trotter and then Jones, am I going too far on this? I mean, it's an early season game, but I'm really looking forward to it based on what they both did last week.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, he said you first, sir.
Oh, yeah, I think it's an overreaction. I think, look, we're in week 3. As Mike said earlier, there's a lot of football to be played. Injuries always play a role at some point late in the year. Momentum plays a factor in all of these things. But I will say this, for where we are at this point in the season, without question, this is must-see TV. When you look at the strides that Tua Tagovailoa has taken, and then you look at what the Bills are doing, I'm fascinated to see how this is going to play out in this game. The Dolphins with that speed on the perimeter is unlike really anything we've seen before that I can remember, where you have two playmakers who are not just fast, but they are playmakers. You've had guys in the past who were fast, but maybe not. They weren't as agile, put it that way, as some. Some guys just have straight line speed. These guys are football players. And when I look at that and I look at what Tua is doing, and then defensively, how the Dolphins have been good the last couple of years, particularly last year, it's going to be a fun game. So I look forward to it. But to say that we're seeing, I realize they're both in the AFC, let's say an AFC championship game, I think it's too early to go that far.
I agree. But my other thing is they have not faced a defense like what we're seeing out of Buffalo yet. The Patriots, yes, it's Bill Belichick, but they have some holes. Baltimore has some injuries and guys coming back from injury who weren't right up to top standards. I am very impressed with what Mike McDaniel is doing with Tua and with the rest of those guys. But I kind of expect for a young team, they might come down to earth just a little bit this week as they run into a team like Buffalo. I've got Buffalo winning this one here.
Oh man, you guys are no fun. You're so logical. You're so logical.
I mean,
you're just using.
Get your popcorn, but it just might not quite be, a shootout like we saw last week.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Leslie Frazier.
All right, so okay. All right, so
Leslie Frazier is going to come up with a game plan. He's going to come up with a game plan, I believe, to slow this Dolphins offense.
Okay. And my last thing for you, Mike Jones, is this. And you just mentioned it. You said Mike McDaniel's done a really good job. And I was really concerned about a guy like McDaniel, and I say like McDaniel, who's been an offensive coordinator but not a play caller. So I was holding that over his head. I was like, I want to see what it's like when the games start. And I had the wrong profile. I was looking at McDaniel in South Florida. I should have been looking in Denver for Nathaniel Hackett, who was the same profile. Offensive coordinator, never called plays. One guy's being tripped up by it. One guy's thriving. Tell me, is it too early to just cancel out Hackett, or is it just a really bad couple of weeks for him?
And look, there will be growing pains, and from some first-year coaches will take their lumps. Mike McDaniel, though, may have one of the highest IQs in the entire NFL. This guy is so meticulous, and it's not like Jay Gruden running a watered-down version of John Gruden's offense. He has worked hand-in-hand with Kyle Shanahan, helping build that offense in Houston, followed him to Washington, went to Cleveland, went to Atlanta. He knows this offense. He knows the whys behind it. He was a freaking ball boy in Denver learning from Mike Shanahan. So this guy
stop that.
is –
Stop it, the
I'm
ball
telling
boy.
you, he's been around this offense longer than he's been like, an adult. Half of his life he's been around this offense.
I dare him. If he had brought that into the interview, if he brought that experience, hey, listen, I know this offense so well. I knew it when I was a ball boy. I'm just telling you, he wouldn't be the head coach.
This guy
right now
has been around this offense so long, and this guy is not like a normal like football mind head coach. He's like another level of intelligence. So that's why I'm not surprised that he's doing well as a play caller. I just thought that it would take a little while for the team to come together. But Mike McDaniel is really sharp.
Can I point out to you? I'm sure he's bright. Yale guy, Ivy League. Shout out New Haven, Connecticut. Shout out Yale. But across from him in game one was a rocket scientist. And you're not writing nice things about him, Matt Patricia. So he's pretty smart too. Who cares? Who cares how smart? Like, you still got to get your guys to perform. There are a lot of smart guys in the NFL who don't coach well.
But that's why we were saying how he's able to handle the play calling in addition to all the other stuff. It's just because he's just like his brain works faster than a lot of first-year head coaches probably. He's got a head start just because of his background and his intelligence.
But see, Michael Holley, if you keep doing our guests like that, he really is going to ask for Michael Smith to come back and get back on the show.
Mike Jones,
you leave King Jones alone.
No. So this is great. Mike Jones, we treated him with kid gloves the first couple of appearances, but now he's family. So now around the table, when everybody's arguing and yelling, but they still love each other, he's in that category now. So he knows it's all love.
I understand.
Can I say this? Mike? You go ahead and say it. Go ahead, say it.
No, for me, I was going to talk about that what you brought up speaks to the point of just how difficult it is to be a head coach, a first-time head coach, first-year head coach, and how there's so much more to this game and being a head coach than just X's and O's. Nathaniel Hackett's game management is just awful. I mean, awful. It is. It's awful.
I love it. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.